So, how is everybody? Where is everybody? Like nobody here today.
Like an extra credit day.
Huh?
I said like an extra credit day.
Unfortunately not, but good suggestion. Um, before I get started, I wanted to recognize Group F. Um, you've been in the top 100 for Globus for the last 3 weeks. Congratulations. I forgot to recognize you last 2 weeks, but I wanted to point that out now. Way to go. I should have your grades for the exam posted by the end of the day today or tomorrow. The grades for the exam, I should have them posted by the end of the day. And today's lecture is on corporate level strategy. So here we go. Huh? Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so still in this part of the Hamburg model right now. And today's lecture covers multiple chapters from the book. It's corporate level strategy, but also we've got a little bit about acquisitions and restructuring, as well as about cooperative strategy. So a couple different chapters of the book covered in this lecture today. So as opposed to business level strategy, which is we talked about last week and focused on who the particular customer and competition are in your particular business that you're in. This week we're looking at how do businesses combine advantageously. So if there's a core competence to be shared between the businesses, then it makes sense to combine businesses that otherwise would be separate entities into one combined entity. There's lots of different areas that make sense for core competencies. They could be in your infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, or procurement. They could also be in your inbound or outbound logistics. They could be in your operations. They could be in marketing and sales. Or they could even be in your service delivery after the sale. Any place where there's a synergy between two different companies, there's an opportunity for merging those two companies. So there's different types of diversification or merging of businesses, related and unrelated. So the first type of business is a single or dominant business where you just merge different of the same entities in the same industry. That's a good example of that is McDonald's. Related business diversification. It's a company like Procter & Gamble where they have marketing and production competencies that are the same for toothpaste as they are for shower gel, as they are for other consumer products. So it makes sense to combine those businesses because they're related to each other. Unrelated diversification is something like General Electric, where you've got A corporate office and support activities, which are common, but otherwise the businesses are relatively unrelated to each other. So GE has everything from appliances to TV stations in their portfolio, but they do share corporate office and support activities, which gives them a synergy there. The role of diversification, the fundamental role of diversification, there's value creating diversification, value neutral diversification, and value reducing diversification. Value creating diversification comes from things like economies of scope, market power, and financial economies. Bless you. Value neutral diversification has to do sometimes with things like antitrust legislation, regulations, tax laws, low performance of one company or another, uncertain future cash flows, risk reduction for the firm, tangible resources or even intangible resources. And then there's also value reducing diversification, which is diversification which you don't want, which can increase managerial employment risk and increase managerial compensation to a level which is unhealthy. Very old quote here about the nature of the firm, which is apropos for today's lecture. Outside the firm, price movements direct production, which is coordinated through a series of exchange transactions on the market. Within a firm, these market transactions are eliminated, and in place of the complicated market structure with exchange transactions is substituted the entrepreneur co-creator or coordinator who directs production. So basically, the question is, do you let the market handle the transactions between business A and business B, or do you merge business A and business B and have them both coordinated by the same management structure at the top? This leads us to something called transaction cost theory, which basically has to do with transaction costs which are either taken care of in a hierarchy within a firm or in the market outside the firm. These costs are things like search, negotiation, contract, monitoring, enforcing, etc., and pricing. So the decision process of whether to merge businesses or not basically is first to disaggregate, then determine your competency, frequency, and uncertainty, and then decide whether you're going to make versus buy. Mergers and acquisitions can either be vertical or horizontal. A horizontal integration is when you take, for example, different oil refineries. They're all the same business, but different entities, and you combine all of those to have one large oil company rather than 4 separate smaller ones. In vertical integration, you're either going forward or backward into the value chain and purchase companies at all levels of production. So, as an example here, if you had a business doing cooled warehouses and you wanted to forward integrate into other firms, you could purchase a meat packing plant, which would help you to pack the things that you keep in your warehouse. If you wanted to go back to make sure you have enough supply in your warehouse, then you could go to refrigerated railroad cars, back to the slaughterhouse, or even back to owning cattle farms. If you wanted to go further forward, you could also go to delivery, well, not wagons so much anymore, but trucks, and even into the store which sells the meat. So change arenas for vertical integration. Backwards into industries that produce inputs for your core products or forward into industries that use, distribute, or sell your products. Why? In order to build barriers to entry, in order to facilitate investment in specialized assets, in order to protect product quality, and it often results in improved scheduling. Examples of this are Merck, Medco, Apple, and IBM. Horizontal change arenas. You want to acquire or merge with industry competitors to gain a competitive advantage. Why? To achieve economies of size or scale, but which lowers your operating costs. Increase product differentiation or diversification. Reducing the number of rivals you have in the industry, or increasing bargaining power towards your suppliers. Examples of this are Pfizer, American Airlines, US Air. There tends to be a kind of curvilinear relationship with the performance of mergers and acquisitions and how related they are. A dominant business, such as the McDonald's example that we went through, is generally tends to perform less well as a company like Procter & Gamble, which merges different operations which have an economy of scale or scope. And then businesses like GE, which have unrelated assets in their diversification portfolio, tend to not perform as well as related diversification businesses. Before I go into the BCG matrix, let me pull up your case analysis template again. So this chapter on corporate level strategy is going back up to the kind of the top of the case analysis template again, past the Hambrick model and the business model to corporate level strategy. So this is the chart that I want you to fill out for corporate level strategy. You're going to look at dominant businesses, related businesses, and unrelated businesses. And for this, I want you to go out and use ProQuest, Edgar, Google, whatever tool is appropriate to find the different divisions or different businesses that are within your business that you're targeting for your case analysis study. You're then going to tell me the name of the company or the division within the company, and tell me whether that entity in the business came to the business originally via vertical or horizontal integration. And whether it was an internal new venture, a joint venture, or an acquisition here in the far column. Make sense? Okay. So talking about the BCG matrix, BCG stands for Boston Consulting Group, and the Boston Consulting Group a while ago came up with a nice way of categorizing different types of businesses into a matrix which looks at market growth rate on one axis and relative market share on the other axis. So if you have a business which is in a market which is growing at a low rate, but you have a high market share, that's something that's known as a cash cow. If you have low market share and it's in a low market growth rate area, that's a dog. If you have high market growth rate and high market share, that's a star. That's the kind of business that you want. And if you have high market growth rate, which is good potential for the future, but low market share, it's a question mark whether it's going to be a successful business or not in the future. A more complete typology of BCG types of businesses is here on this screen, with sales level on one axis and time on the other. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's a yellow line here showing sales revenues growing and then declining again over the course of time. Any business at the beginning of its productive time is going to have relatively low sales. That's what's known as an infant. And then we get to low share and high growth, which is question marks or problem children. If you get up to high share and high growth, you've got your stars up here. And then when you reach the maturity phase of the market, you've got your cash cows up here at the top, which are high share and low growth, and dogs, which are low share and low growth. And then finally, as the market declines, you've got war horses, which still maintain high market share, even though there's negative growth in the market. And then dodos, which are low share and have negative growth and are not the kind of business that you want. So there's a couple different strategies for entering new businesses. One is by acquiring or buying another business. A second is internal new ventures or startups where the company creates their own new business. And a third is a joint venture where you team up with another business. You don't merge the businesses, but you form a cooperative entity to start a new business. The reasons why one engages in mergers, acquisitions, takeovers, or restructurings: quick access to resources or market share. There are corporate culture and MIS issues that you need to think about integrating. However, when you merge, if there's synergies to be obtained by combining two businesses, that's a good reason to merge. There's a couple different types of merger activities. One is an actual merger where two firms agree to integrate into one and they're relatively co-equals. An acquisition is where one firm buys controlling interest in another firm. So it's a takeover of one company by another company. A takeover, as opposed to an acquisition, is an acquisition where the target company that's being bought did not ask to be bought. And then finally, restructuring is where you undergo significant changes to the financing and operations of the firm. Merger and acquisition history. From the late 1800s to the early 1900s, it was really a question of horizontal integration and some companies that actually ran into antitrust issues with companies like U.S. Steel, DuPont, and Standard Oil. As time went on, vertical integration became more of a thing. Ford and National Dairy are some good examples of that. From the 50s until the latter part of the prior century, conglomerates and leveraged buyouts were all the rage in mergers and acquisitions, and that ended up forming companies like General Electric and RGR Nabisco. since the end of the last century up until current time, knowledge-based knowledge-based mergers and acquisitions or internationalization and industry consolidation are more the reasons why companies are merging and acquiring each other these days. And some good examples of those are Disney, Apple, and Marriott Starwood. That, even though it only took 24 minutes, is my lecture on corporate level strategy. Going back to your template here again, in addition to telling me what part of the company is a dominant business, what part of the company is a related business, and what part of the company is an unrelated business, and then telling me whether that is an example of vertical or horizontal integration, and telling me whether the company, the business originally came to the company via new venture, joint venture, or acquisition. I also want you to tell me what type of BCG company it is. Is it an infant? Is it a question mark? Is it a cash cow? Is it a dodo? What stage of market growth is that business in? And what are the sales revenues like for that business? So if in looking at your target business that you're studying for your case analysis, if you can't find an example of a related business or an unrelated business that is actually part of that company's portfolio, I want you to tell me a company they could acquire that would be related, or a company they could acquire that would be unrelated, and give that as an example. And note in your footnote, this is an example that we are suggesting because we could not find any related businesses within this company's portfolio. And that is what you need to do in your case template for corporate level strategy. Does that make sense? Questions? Okay, then we're done for the day. Yes, Erica, what's up? Okay.
Now, when doing this one, we turn this part in as corporate.
Yes.
But we write a separate paper individually. Is that?
No.
Oh, okay.
The whole group does one paper like this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I was kind of confused because I couldn't see the video tutorial clearly. I don't know if they were putting a negative, but I was trying to do. I was trying to, because this means that we have 103, correct? And we only need 79.
Yep.
So I was kind of confused if I'm supposed to deduct 20 here and deduct 20 here. If that's what I wanted, do I need to deduct 20 each semester? Because doesn't it
here
carry
it
over?
says it does carry over. So here you've only got 83,
Right.
and you need 80, so it's about the same.
Right.
So you don't have to put minus 20 there, just here.
Okay, because we got a C plus on this one, and can you tell us what we could have done better?
Is this the one we just did?
Yeah.
We got a C plus.
We got a C plus.
Really? I changed it, and our stuff went up so much.
And I was a little confused on the cash flow as well, but
have you already made edits?
This
is the one due last night, right?
Yeah, this is the one that was due. I'm talking about from last night. So this is what was
I
saved
changed
from last
it
night.
last
I don't think
night.
it reset.
And our stuff went up a lot.
After you change it?
Yeah, all this stuff right here.
It's looking a lot better now.
Well, because when I went to your message, I could have sworn it said C plus. And this one is from this morning, March 6th.
Credit rating.
Yeah, when I was
that's
doing it,
just
our
the
credit
credit
rating was a A minus. I'm confused. Like
Well-
our stuff up went a lot. Or is this the overall?
No, this is just from last. This is from last
Night.
week.
Or last-
So if you've already changed the inputs,
Yeah.
then I can't tell.
Oh.
I can't tell what was wrong from the last time.
I thought it goes from. Okay, like as soon as we submitted it, like say we did it last night. I thought this was like okay, this includes last night's information.
It does, but you
Oh,
guys,
see, well,
you edited things after last night, right?
no, last night.
Like our stuff
Before
was
midnight?
way. Yeah. I saved it. I was done before 11. And our stuff was way higher. Like our earnings per share,
this
like,
is like-
everything went way up.
This is like what was there, what I was put for last night. It didn't reset.
Mind if I close this and reopen
Yeah,
it?
go ahead.
Is there a way to look to see what I did on there?
I don't know how to do it on here because like on the side, you'll see on my side at the bottom, it like doesn't show. But I had a really hard time because this is a Mac for a while. I couldn't even get it.
See, yeah, last save 11:05.
Aha. So now I have the like correct. So what happened?
Yeah, for year 9, I had all this stuff way over investor expectation, like by a lot.
Oh, you know what? I was watching one of the videos, and it was saying that I didn't even think about this until now. I mean, that the finance and cash flow should be done last. So we split it up, and she had the first 3, and I did the first 4.
But I went back to make sure, like, that my stuff didn't mess your stuff up, so I tweaked a few things.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
So the biggest reason why like performance is so different than what the expectation was is because the other teams did something different. So
So just because this is what it says doesn't mean that's what it's going to be.
no. So the way to get it more accurate is if you go to the marketing tab. So in your decision entries, open that up and go to marketing, and then click to improve accuracy of projections. If you think the other companies are going to have lower prices next year than they did this past year, then you're going to want to move these toggles up, however much you think they're going to be changing.
Okay. See, yeah, I was specifically just going, like, doing stuff that would change this, and I got it so high, though. I can't believe that it was, like, not anywhere close to what it was.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a sequence.
Well, let's see.
I'm thinking I messed up in the maybe finance and cash flow, in the one that's 2 above it.
So you've got a 2.5-star quality camera, which means that you're competing with C, D. You guys are K, right? So you're competing with C, D, F, and J. So first of all, your price was $185.
Mm-hmm.
The competing prices for the same camera, $145, $150, $157, $160.
Okay.
So
Too high for a 2-star, 2.5 star.
so you need to your price needs to be more like $155 maybe.
Okay.
And then promotion wise, 2 for 2 weeks at 15%, 3 for 3 weeks at 12%, 3 for 3 weeks at 15%, 3 for 2 weeks at 15%. You seem to be okay on your promotions. And your warranty is super. You may want to bring your warranty back down a bit.
Okay.
And then if we look at customer service or tech support, 500, 500, 500, 300, 175. So you're spending too little on tech support.
Okay.
That needs to be up more at like.
So I was looking at that, but I was just so scared at what the
400 to
projections
500.
were saying that if I put it up, that it really skewed our projections. So
Well, another thing you could do is you can change where you're at. So right now there's 4 different companies that all have a 2.5 star quality camera. 5.
mm-hmm.
There's only one that has a 2. There's 2 that have 2-star quality cameras.
Okay.
So if you drop down to like a 1.5 star quality camera, you'd be the only ones that are offering that one. And it might help you to get your numbers back up.
Okay.
So I would go back to your product design and change the inputs to bring yourself down to a 1.5 star quality camera.
Okay. Way lower our price.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's hard not to ignore this, though.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
like you have to change everything before you can take a look at this and see if it's going
Yeah.
to be okay or not. So there, 1.5 stars. And if we go back and look at 2-star quality cameras, 160, 164, 100, so 145 is the lowest price right now.
Mm-hmm.
So your cost is 129. So if you put your price at 140, maybe,
Okay.
then you're going to undercut all the rest of the companies on price. And I would move this back down to 1 year instead of 3 years. And you're going to need to make your tech support the highest in the whole game now.
Okay. Just to catch up.
Mm.
Okay.
No, just because the quality of the camera is so low.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So 300, 225, 500. 500 is the highest, so I would go up to 600 for your tech support budget. So that's improved things significantly. Your advertising can be relatively low because you've got such a low price.
Right.
So I think advertising wise, you're already kind of close to the lowest, so I'd leave your advertising the way it is. Um,
And this is the one that you said could go 10% over?
mhm.
Okay.
So you can go in and make these 10% more.
Okay. Now, is that per location or per?
No, it's per quarter
Per quarter. Okay.
and per location.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.